Hello folks, today I'm going to discuss a bit about an idea that came to my mind recently, an idea that I've seen around myself for a very long time, an idea that goes somewhat like, without guidance, people believe that they know it all. How does this actually work? And you're definitely knowledgeable of this to some degree, especially if you came up to watch spiritual videos like mine or any other people who prefer to share to the world to enlighten them and to help them realize that there is much more than life apparently gives and shows. So, a point of the universe and life is that everything is affected by something which is called entropy. It is everywhere and ever present. Entropy is an idea of chaos, and the normal tendency of things, actually better said, the natural tendency of things to tend towards chaos. So, yeah, tendency towards chaos. A natural tendency towards chaos of each and everything. That is why chaos and order will always be, well, they will always be balanced more or less. Um, Actually, even if things are chaotical in our way, they are always balanced for the universe. However, it is only our rational mind that classifies things in duality. And something is only chaotic because it does not suit us, we don't like it, and any other such emotional attachment and or cognitive attachment as well, more or less strictly related to our comfort zone as well. Um, so for example, if it rains outside, some people will not find it comfortable to leave home and therefore they will stay at home. They will most likely watch through the window and say, it's so ugly outside. But it's ugly outside because they believe it to be so. And more so than this, they are also attached to different situations. Like if they watch the news a lot and their mind goes haywire, they will start believing that the weather, for example, is chaotic because we as humans are devious punks who mess with nature. It may be true or may not be true. We don't know this for sure, and I believe it's not our purpose to actually um, spend time towards this because it ultimately ends up as both a distraction and an invitation to allowing our minds to go haywire and end up on a different spectrum of speculations and false beliefs. If we control nature or not, that is not the purpose of today's videos anyway. So, if people are not guided, if people are not taught to take care of themselves in life, they will end up believing that they know everything. It is sooner or later bound to happen, and we can see it all around. The schooling system of nowadays is obsolete because it no longer serves people, and honestly, it kind of never served people. The schooling system as we know today was created and adapted to um, suit the beginning of the industrial age. The industrial age saw an explosion in industry and industrial complexes, and so many of these being built, they required a very large number of people. So in order to house so many people, you actually had to train them. And what else could you do to train so many people other than schools? So schools actually would teach you what you need to do in order to work in society. However, in many countries like mine for example, there are so many subjects, there are so many things to learn in the curricula, and they eventually don't necessarily help you. Sure, it's important to learn a bit about your geography, the world's geography, some bits about history, although I don't like history because English is an occult language. It has a lot of hidden meanings that are more or less in plain sight. So for example, his story is actually his story. In history, you will always be learning about other people's stories instead of your own. And it's another way that your attention will be pulled away from you, not specifically with history alone. And school also does this bad habit of pulling attention away from you. And in many places of the world, whatever wilderness you learn in most of the fucked up families as a child, you will get to improve them at school, because most likely you will hit, if you are in a chaotic school, most likely you will end up, actually if you are in a chaotic family, you will most likely end up in a chaotic school. But not necessarily. But in many cases of the world, this is something like that. If you are in a fucked up family, you will learn a lot of fucked up things, and if you get in a fucked up school, well, you will only better the skills that you have learned in your family, and those will be rage probably and other things like that. So the environment actually will shape people a lot as well. Now we can see that today governments and politics and the such, well, they kind of don't help people at all. Many say that, well, governments don't care about people at all. This may be true, this may not be true. We don't know necessarily how much they do for our well-being, or how much they don't. We just get stuck in that idea that they actually don't do anything, which can be or cannot be true. Again, this is a distraction, and it calls to hatred. And if you put out hatred, you will also draw hatred. So politics in English is also another tricky word, because politics in the occult language means pile of ticks, and in the end politicians may end up being as ticks that suck blood from you, and, well, most likely the population as a whole. So the nowadays school system sucks. It's very bad. It doesn't teach people to adapt. It doesn't teach people to make money, because money is an important asset of life. Sure, many people will still believe in the Christian idea that you have to give everything, every bit of money to others so that you win your place in heaven. However, this point is only a reversed aspect. It is a point of freely give all your riches to the rich, actually not necessarily to the rich, but to some devious minds who can't do anything in life, but just gain from the money that you will give them, because why not? It is very easy. And so many people fall for religions. And Christianity has this awful idea that you have to live poor in the eyes of God. You have to give all your riches, because riches are the temptation of the devil. But no one actually knows who the devil is exactly, and no one actually knows what ideas regard him or her, because it's an entity that I do not assign a gender towards. There is something about natural Satanism, which is something far beyond. I mean, I don't know if it precedes Christianity, but there was something about this, and the original Satanism is very similar to the ideas that quantum physics actually present today. And what are these? Well, quantum physics say that we are gods and goddesses, and the power of our mind can actually shape reality. That was something that Satanism would say long time ago, the original one, not the modern one. And it also said that live in this world and do whatever you want, physically speaking, acquire as many riches as you want, but do not fall for any of these temptations, like it's like call everything that you want in life, get everything that you want in life physically, but don't excess over it. Don't take more than you should, because then you shall become my slave. That's something that I read long ago, and unfortunately I no longer remember the source. There are also references to this in Gothic 3, in the desert areas, where you will see the Hashishin culture, the Hashishin civilization from Gothic 3, which are they are desert people who believe in a god named Beliar. Beliar is one of the many different names of the devil, or Satan, or Leviathan, or whatever you want to call him, like. Now, there's also a difference, I think, in between the devil and Leviathan, but come again, I have not dived that much into this. Moving onwards, when people are not taken care of, and schools don't do that, your family doesn't do that, because your family believes that taking care of you means only giving you food, okay? And your family will also be telling you things like, but I raised you. But you see, it's all wrong. That's just a narcissistic claim. They want control over you because they fear losing you if you want to do greater things in life. How is that? Well, let's take an illusion and break it down, okay? Like, your parents most likely gave you food, okay, and shelter in their own house, and clothes and the such. Now, it doesn't make you, it doesn't turn you into their slave, because you will be doing this at your own turn with your own children, okay? And you raise your children to let them grow, and you have to be their leader. And the difference between a leader and a boss is that the boss wants to rule everyone and is most likely an authoritarian, while the leader gives birth to other leaders. So you measure a leader by how many other people they have inspired and how many other leaders they have helped create, so that in turn they will help create other leaders as well. That is how you combat schooling systems of today, and that is how you make people free. Because schooling systems and families as well, because our families were taught by the same schooling system that failure is the end of all things, which is very bad. Failure is actually the teacher of all things, because through failure we all evolve. If you don't understand the principles of life, well, to tell you very shortly, life is all about living in reverse, because everything that you do is turned against yourself. You are taught to seek power outside instead of looking for it inside. You are told to people please, and you are taught to people please instead of pleasing yourself first. You are taught to learn that everything is to be sought outside, is to be looked for outside. The meaning of all things is actually inside. If you want to find the truth about who you are, you have to find inside. And that also includes fighting all of your fears and all of your negative emotions. It is a tough challenge, but in the end, no one can tell anything about you outside of you. Sure, many people can actually learn things about your patterns. They can understand different things, like for example I can and many other people can. There are a lot of people who don't have difficulty in understanding other people, but the deeper core things, usually the deepest ones, it's up to you to find them out. If other people find them out in your place, and they actually try to tell you about that, those people are keepers in your life. Those people are to keep in your life, because these people, this kind of people is very hard to find nowadays. So people will try to pull you down. People will try to show you that they are superior. And the schooling system teaches you that fail is bad. Fail is the end of all things. So life in the end is all about living in reverse, living against yourself. And when you live in reverse, what do you get? Well, you have L-I-V-E, and what happens when you read it in reverse? You get E-V-I-L, which equals evil, okay? And therefore you end up living in an evil way. And then you should ask yourself, why is my life actually miserable? Well, because you are evil. You are living life in reverse. You are evil. This may come very surprising to most people. It actually came to me. English is a very occult language, and it has so many words plays that are in your face, but you don't realize them. For example, television, which means tell lie to your vision. And there are lots and lots of such aspects, but let's not focus on these. So people, when they are fucked up in life, when they don't get the attention that they want, they will give themselves their own worth, and they will keep boosting that because they don't want to feel bad. And this continuous lying leads to more and more narcissistic traits. They will actually fight for it, and in many cases actually they will fight fanatically for it. And this actually sucks, because those people in your life will behave like that. Society nowadays stinks of narcissistic traits all over us. If you don't see them yet, it's like you have to open your eyes more. People gaslight you, people use emotions against you, people do all sorts of bad things to keep you close. And if you fail, oh my god, they're gonna be so happy. So you just have to understand that many people, unfortunately in most people's cases, even your family, Most people are dickheads. They are douchebags who would want to see you fail at each and everything that you want to do, and they just want you to follow the same principle of their life. Follow school, get a boring job, suffer just like them so that you don't get happy, and they will simply vampirize on you. They are basically like emotional and energy vampires. They will feed off all of your energy the more you fight against yourself. So basically you will feed your own demons who will keep you at that low vibration, and the demons of other people around you who have failed before their demons and actually choose to not fight them. So you are actually feeling tired because you are feeling so many different entities with your energy. That is a reason why you are feeling tired. Now, people end up believing that they know it all because of this premise. And why they do it is because of self-esteem and because of not being given the attention they required. And the same reason why your family hasn't given you the attention that you most likely required, because in the end no one taught them what they should do to their children, how they should behave to their children, especially that nowadays our generations, the generations following the 90s, these generations are much more emotional. They are much more bound to their emotion because emotion equals freedom, and also emotion equals life. There is no such thing as a person who lacks emotion, and yes, I'm sure you are told that psychopaths and other such people do not have emotions. This is totally bad and wrong. They have their own emotions. Psychopathy usually makes emotions a bit number. They are a bit less potent, but they still have emotions. Just like sociopaths do, just like narcissists do, they all have emotion, because emotion means energy in motion. Emotion equals life. There is a big difference between emotion and feeling. I will cover this in another video, but to take this into account, emotions equal life. So when you feel emotions, you are alive. Every emotion that you feel, hatred, positive or negative emotion, means that you are alive. If you become encased in yourself and you reject your own emotions, that is a form of death. Because even if you are still alive, in the end, when you are going to be on your deathbed, the only thing that you will remember is the things that you did, because there is an emotional attachment to those, and this attachment is very healthy, unless you are fantasizing about it, like in the cases of regrets. Regrets are a powerful emotional attachment towards things that you could have done or you would have done but you didn't, and that's why you regret doing those. One of the worst hells for a person to experience is when they meet the person they knew they could have become, but for so many reasons they didn't choose to do the work in order to achieve that level. And that is one of the greatest hells that someone can actually experience. So people will end up with a lot of fucked up mentalities. They will tell you that they know everything. Oh, I know that. Definitely something that I know. You don't know that. I've experienced this. I know much better. And all sorts of affirmations like this that they keep repeating to themselves, and they end up with this false impression of knowledge and the such. And there's also something in psychology, it's called the Krupp-Kruger effect. If I don't call it wrong, it's Krupp-Kruger effect, which means that the less you know, the more you feel that you know. Because being wise and also being abundant equals being also more or less enlightened. It means that the more you know, you realize that the less you know. Because the more you learn about things, is you actually expand your consciousness and your awareness, and you actually realize that you know so less, you know so little, because bypassing that illusion of knowing a little but actually knowing a lot in your own point of view, not in the point of view of others, except the case where they are just ass kissers and they, kiss your ass just for attention. You see, that's a very interesting point, because the more you expand your awareness is you realize that you know so little. So try to avoid the idea of people who believe they know it all. No one knows it all, okay? Not even the creator knows it all, because the reason why we have been created is that they just want to see how life goes by. Imagine like you're creating a game and then you are having it run. You're having no player, but you're just looking at the NPCs, and you have programmed all of them to follow randomness, okay? So you don't know what they will be doing. You know for sure that they will be doing random things, but you just don't know which and what. And you don't know how the fate of that game instance will end up like, because everything is random. You see? So that is the point. Life is all about decisions and choices, and the divinity, the creators, the source, whatever you want to call them, they don't know this, and they experience through you, and they experience especially through your emotions. So if you negate your emotions, you negate their chance of also experiencing through you, because religion tells you that you know the creators are everything and you are just nothing. And then if you are nothing, ask yourself, why have you been created in the end? Are you just a mockery of some kind of deity who's in the end nothing else but the invention of humanity? I mean, sure, there is a God, there is a consciousness, there is something that exists and makes all of this possible, but ask yourself, what is the actual purpose of that? Isn't consciousness dependent on feeling things and experiencing through all of the facets that it created? You are a facet of consciousness. You experience in the name of consciousness, and that is the purpose of your being in here. Sure, you have a much more specific role, but your purpose in life, and the purpose of life, is to learn and experience. Everything else is just man-made construct. Just look up at animals. Do they do anything else than just live and experience? I mean, sure, they eat, they sleep, and they move, but it's basically just a cycle. They just learn and experience. It's the whole thing that life is based on. Everything else is just man-made principle. And many people will tell you that it's bad, these ideas of mine, which actually some came from divine guidance, some came from other people. Many will tell you that, hey, these things are bad, religion is the only thing existent. They will pull you down because you don't want to submit to their ideas. So try avoiding this idea, try expanding yourself, try learning more and more about yourself. The new decade that has begun will be a decade in which most of your fears will come out, and you have to learn how to let them go. Because if you don't let them go and you keep attached to those, they will keep haunting you and your life will remain bad. You have to develop yourself, you have to keep improving yourself. So without this, you will just remain at the same level. Do you choose to remain at the same level and become one with the other folks who believe they know it all just because in their life they haven't been guided? Or do you choose to learn how to guide yourself? And through this, you'll actually be guided yourself towards people who will actually guide you. And everything that is similar will be drawn one to the other. Okay, so adapting a certain mentality will slowly but surely draw you towards like-minded people. Okay, so all of these being said, have an awesome new year, and remember, always focus on yourself more than you focus on others. If you can't provide to yourself, you can't provide to others as well. Have an awesome day. And also remember, life is awesome and so are you.